If I'm to be an outcast, so be it. I'm through doing what others tell me to do, and I am sick of this world and the stinky people in it. From now on, I will dedicate my life to bringing chaos to the world that has rejected me. I will become the greatest supervillain the world has ever seen. Where I go, destruction will follow.
We're diving into Butters Stotch's most iconic moments. From accidental pimp to clueless superhero, prepare for some chaos as we look back at his best moments. Segment 17, Good Times with Weapons. So the boys score some legit ninja weapons at the fair. Swords, nunchucks, the whole ninja starter pack. They're hyped, living out their anime dreams, but when Butters shows up and asks if he can play, they shut him down. But Butters doesn't back down. He suits up as Professor Chaos, ready to unleash some, well, chaos. Cue the epic anime showdown, fireballs flying, ice blasts soaring, everyone's going full Dragon Ball Z. Then, out of nowhere, Kenny yeets a shuriken right into Butters' eye. Snap back to reality, and our boy's got a ninja star lodged in his face. The crew panics. And we can't let the parents find out, right? So what's the master plan? Dress Butters up as a dog and take him to the vet. Genius. Except the vet's like, this dog's in bad shape, time to put him down. But Butters is able to escape and continues stumbling around downtown, half blind, in a janky dog costume, getting mistaken for a And while Butters is dodging euthanasia, Cartman thinks it's the perfect time to test his invisibility power by stripping down completely naked at a public auction. Spoiler alert, he's not invisible, and now everyone's traumatized. In the end, Butters finally gets medical help, eye patch and all, looking like the world's youngest pirate. The boys realize adults freak out more over a little nudity than a kid nearly losing his eye. Classic South Park. But hey, Butters sure knows how to make an episode unforgettable. Segment 16, Butters' Bottom Bitch. Butters, tied to a tetherball pole, taking hits like a champ because, get this, he's never kissed a girl.
Well, it turns out that Butters, our Butters, has never kissed a girl. Oof.
So the boys are roasting him until word gets out that Sally Darson is passing them lips out for $5 behind the school.
We got it. Sally Darson is selling kisses for $5.
Butters steps up, drops his cash, and finally gets that magical first kiss. Instant street cred. But does our boy stop there? Absolutely not. Butters goes full entrepreneur mode. He starts promoting Sally's kissing service to other kids, and before you know it, he's got a whole operation running. He's recruiting more girls, managing schedules. The kid's basically running a small empire, all while thinking he's just spreading the love, literally. Meanwhile, Sergeant Yates is on a mission to crack down on the sudden rise in, affection commerce. He goes undercover in the most extra way possible, but let's stick to Butters. Back at school, Butters tries to recruit more girls, but when he calls Wendy a bitch, things get spicy. Stan steps in, ready to throw hands, but what does Butters do?
Clyde, here's $100. Stan comes near me, punch him.
Wow, wait.
Later, Kyle tries to talk some sense into him, but Butters is too deep into his newfound business swagger. He even hits up the local bank to apply for business benefits, pulling some strings to make it happen. But when he witnesses what he refers to as real love between Officer Yates and his pimp, Butters has a change of heart. He decides to step back and let the girls keep the profit for themselves. Segment 15, Simpsons already did it. So, our boy Butters, rocking his evil alter ego, Professor Chaos, is hell-bent on unleashing havoc on South Park. First up, he plans to block out the sun. Epic, right? But his sidekick, General Disarray, hits him with,
Cool, it'll be just like on The Simpsons.
Huh?
They did that on The Simpsons.
Butters is like, wait, what? Undeterred, he schemes to decapitate the town's main statue. Bold move, but again, Disarray burst his bubble.
Bart Simpson took the head of the Springfield statue in one of their classic episodes.
Frustration levels are through the roof. Every diabolical plan he cooks up, the Simpsons have already nailed it. Butters starts losing it. He's seeing everyone in this yellow Simpsons animation style. Desperate for originality, he binge watches every Simpsons episode. Finally, he crafts a plan so wild it has to be unique, replacing cherry centers in chocolates with rancid mayo. Gross, but genius, right? Just as he's about to pull it off, a Simpsons promo airs. Bart's doing the same exact thing. Butters spirals into full-on meltdown, questioning his evil career. But then a revelation hits. The Simpsons have been around forever. Of course they've done everything. The boys remind him it's not a big deal and originality is overrated. Relieved, Butters snaps back, ready to embrace chaos once more. Segment 14, The Return of the Fellowship of the Ring to the Two Towers. Let's jump into one of Butters' most unforgettable moments in the Return of the Fellowship of the Ring to the Two Towers. So the boys are deep in their Lord of the Rings roleplay when they're tasked with delivering a movie to Butters' house. Simple enough, right? But here's where things get wild. There's been a mix-up with the tapes. Butters gets the movie, pops it in, and suddenly he's utterly obsessed. We're talking full-on Golem mode, clutching the tape and calling it my precious. The boys find out there was a mistake and rush back to retrieve it, but Butters isn't giving up on his new treasure without a fight. Chasing after them, Butters dives headfirst into his own epic quest, complete with all the dramatic flair you'd expect. He starts sneaking around, popping up unexpectedly, and doing whatever it takes to reclaim his precious tape. Meanwhile, the boys are on their own adventure, dodging sixth graders and navigating challenges straight out of an epic fantasy, all while trying to set things right. Butters' determination and over-the-top antics turn the whole situation into a hilarious parody of epic proportions. In the end, despite all of the chaos, Butters reunites with his prized possession. Segment 13, The Last of the Mexicans. The boys are playing Texans versus Mexicans at Cartman's place. Butters steps up to lead the Mexicans, but let's be real, leadership isn't his strong suit, so Kyle takes over and everyone makes it across the backyard border except for our guy Butters. Somehow he gets lost while the crew is oblivious. Butters is wandering in a snowstorm and gets hit by a car. He tells the couple he's Montaquilla.
I am Montaquilla, the last of the Mexicans.
That's butter in Spanish, and he needs to get back to his amigos at the border. They think he's an actual immigrant and put him to work doing their chores. They eventually drop him off at an El Pollo Loco, thinking he belongs with his own kind. Butters starts sharing wild stories, and when the staff hears the name Montaquilla, they lose it. They think he's some legendary figure and decide maybe the American dream isn't all that. Next thing you know, there's a mass exodus of Mexicans heading back home, inspired by our clueless hero. Back in the States, the economy is tanking because nobody's around to do the hard work. The Border Patrol starts freaking out and even recruits volunteers. Enter Cartman, who's all too eager to stop Mexicans from leaving. Meanwhile, Butters is living it up in Mexico, hailed as a hero, but he gets homesick and decides to return to South Park. As he tries to cross back, the Border Patrol is ecstatic. Finally, someone wants in. But Cartman loses his mind trying to stop him, turning it into an over-the-top showdown. Butters makes it back home, technically winning the game and leaving Cartman in the dust. The boys are stoked he's back, but still doubt his leadership skills. Then Butters raises his arms and suddenly the voice of the Mexican people chant in unison. Iconic moment achieved. Segment 12, Stupid Spoiled Whore Video Playset. Alright, get this. Butters is just chilling when Paris Hilton swaggers into South Park looking for her next pet accessory because her last one, well, let's just say he couldn't handle the lifestyle and checked out early. So who catches her eye? Our boy Butters. She slaps a bear costume on him, dubs him Mr. Biggles, and suddenly Butters thinks he's got a new BFF. He brings Paris home to meet his mom and dad, and guess what? She offers them $200 million for their own son. And do you think his parents took the deal? Hell no. They negotiated for $250 million. Butters is like,
Oh, hamburgers!
Yay, Mr. Biggles, you're mine forever!
Please, I don't want to live with her.
If you can raise the $250 million yourself, you can stay.
Well, how am I supposed to make that kind of money?
It's called working, young man. Your grandfather was a coal miner for 50 years. He never complained. Get out there and start digging.
so naturally, Butters tries his hand at coal mining to raise the cash. Spoiler alert, he doesn't strike it rich. Meanwhile, he stumbles upon Paris Hilton's dark secret. All her previous pets have opted out in the most dramatic ways possible. We're talking dogs with guns and cats in bathtubs. It's a pet horror show. Butters freaks out and bolts. But Paris isn't letting go of him like a bad drug habit. She chases after him, leading to the most outrageous horror-off with Mr. Slave you've ever seen. And when I say outrageous, I mean Butters thinks he's finally safe, but nope, his parents are fuming. Not because he almost was abducted, but because they lost out on $250 million. And just like that, our boy is grounded for not letting himself be sold. Segment 11, AWESOM-O. A mysterious box from Japan shows up for Butters. Inside, a robot named AWESOM-O 4000. The twist? It's just Cartman in a cardboard suit, plotting to dig up Butters' most embarrassing secrets. Sneaky, right? Butters, being the innocent soul he is, totally buys it. He spills his guts to his new robot pal, including a juicy tidbit. He's got a video of Cartman dressed as Britney Spears, rizzing up a cardboard Justin Timberlake. Now Cartman is sweating bullets inside the box, starving because obviously robots don't eat, and frantically searching for the tape without blowing his cover. To make things crazier, Butters takes AWESOM-O to Hollywood. Movie execs think his robot is a genius scriptwriter, and Cartman ends up pitching 1,000 terrible movies, most starring Adam Sandler. Then the military swoops in, convinced that AWESOM-O is some high-tech weapon. They capture him, and Cartman's stuck between revealing himself or becoming a lab rat. Just when he's about to crack, Butters bursts in to save his robot friend. But hold up, Cartman slips up, and everyone realizes he's been the robot all along. And the grand finale, Butters plays the embarrassing video for the entire town, finally getting sweet revenge on Cartman. Segment 10, Professor Chaos. Stan, Kyle, and Cartman straight up fire Butters from the friend group. Yep, they tell him he's not cutting it anymore. Our sweet, naive Butters is devastated. After all the crazy stuff he's done for them, buying tampons, rocking chin balls on national TV, and this is the thanks he gets? But hold up, Butters isn't taking this lying down. He flips the script and decides it's time to embrace his dark side. Say hello to Professor Chaos, decked out in his homemade aluminum foil suit because who needs Gucci when you got kitchen supplies? He's ready to unleash mayhem on South Park. First order of evil business, he strolls into Bennigan's and switches 2 bowls of soup. Diabolical. The customers get the wrong order, and Professor Chaos laughs manically from the doorway, but nobody even notices. Meanwhile, the boys are holding their own twisted version of America's Next Top Friend to replace Kenny. Auditions, roses, the whole shebang, but that's another story. Back to our wannabe villain. Realizing every great evildoer needs a sidekick, Butters teams up with Dougie, now dubbed General Disarray. Together, they hatch a master plan to flood the world by leaving a garden hose running. Global catastrophe via backyard hose. Ambitious. They wait and wait, but the so-called flood barely makes a puddle. Frustrated but undeterred, they escalate to the most sinister plot yet, spraying aerosol cans into the sky to destroy the ozone layer. Segment 9, super fun time. Butters gets stuck holding hands with Cartman on a field trip to Pioneer Village, where everyone acts like it's 1864 and won't break character for anything. Mr. Garrison lays down the law. Butters, don't let go of Cartman's hand until you're back on the bus. Simple enough, right? Yeah. Wrong. Cartman spots super fun time, an arcade heaven just around the corner. He's all like, screw this old time snooze fest, let's bounce. But Butters, he's glued to Cartman's hand like it's his life mission. So now Cartman's dragging a reluctant Butters through arcade games, bumper cars, and even a solo air hockey match. Butters is just along for the chaotic ride, refusing to let go. Meanwhile, back at Pioneer Village, the rest of the gang gets taken hostage by some trigger-happy thieves. But does Cartman care? No. He's too busy living his best life while Butters is low-key panicking. When they finally decide to head back, they see police everywhere and freak out, thinking they're the ones in trouble. They attempt the sneakiest return ever, but end up dangling from a traffic light. Then, out of nowhere, a thief confronts them. He threatens to shoot their hands off if they don't surrender, but Butters, he's not letting go for anything. In a wild turn, he swings Cartman like a human weapon to knock the thief out. Just when you think things can't get crazier, a grenade goes off, knocking them both out. The chaos allows the cops to swoop in and save the day. And the grand finale, Butters, bruised and exhausted, drags an unconscious Cartman all the way back to the bus. Butters went from being Cartman's sidekick to absolute legend, all because he refused to let go. Talk about dedication. Segment 8, Cartman sucks. Okay, so check this out. Butters gets invited to Cartman's sleepover. Sounds innocent, right? Again, wrong. Cartman's scheming his greatest prank ever. So our unsuspecting hero Butters gets blindfolded, totally clueless, while Cartman's up to no good. But plot twist, Butters' dad burst in at the worst possible moment. He jumps to conclusions faster than a kid on a trampoline and suddenly labels Butters as bi-curious. Butters is like, wait, what now? But basically rolls with it because he's just that trusting. Next thing you know, he's shipped off to some shady camp to pray the gay stay away. Yeah, it's as bad as it sounds. The place is a nightmare. Cold counselors, kids disappearing left and right, literally zero chill. Enter Bradley, a kid with literally more issues than a magazine rat. He tells Butters he likes him, and Butters is like, sweet, a new friend. When Bradley's about to take a leap off a bridge, Butters steps up and drops some serious wisdom. He's like,
I wasn't confused until other people started telling me I was. You know what I think? I think maybe you're the ones who are confused.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be confused anymore just because you say I should be. My name is Butters. I'm 8 years old, I'm blood type O, and I'm bi-curious. And even that's okay. Because if I'm bi-curious, and I'm somehow made from God, then I figure God must be a little bi-curious himself.
Bradley backs away from the edge. Everyone's relieved. But wait, Butters' dad then admits he might be bi-curious himself. Now Butters is more confused than ever. And that's why this episode is peak Butters. Amid all the chaos, his pure heart and accidental genius shines through, making it one of his most iconic moments ever. Segment 7, Raisins. Our boy Butters strolls into Raisins, South Park's knockoff Hooters, but with extra cringe. He locks eyes with a girl named Lexus. Yeah, Lexus, like the car, but she's about to run over his innocent little heart. Butters is smitten, like head over heels writing sonnets in his notebook smitten. He's dropping cash like he's got a money tree, showering her with tips and gifts, thinking they're basically married. He's calling her at work, all, hey babe, wanna hang out? And she's like, sure, come by my job and spend some money. Absolutely adorable. He even drags his parents to meet her. Mom and dad are just relieved he's not hanging out with Cartman, small victories. But then they're like, wait, this place is sketchy. They try to drop some wisdom explaining that sometimes girls might use their charm to, get stuff. But Butters isn't buying it. He plans to run away with Lexus. Plot twist, Lexus hits him with the classic, we're not even dating. Heartbreak City, population Butters. He's left standing in the rain, tears mixing with the downpour, looking like the cover of an early 2000s emo album. Enter the goth kids. They spot this walking ball of sadness and invite him to join their not-so-merry band of misfits. But Butters, in all of his wisdom, drops the truth bomb. I'm sad, but that means I was happy before. It's a beautiful sadness. Even the goth kids are like, whoa. That's deep. Meanwhile, Stan overhears the empathy and realizes maybe Butters is onto something. Maybe feeling all the feels, even the crappy ones, is what life's all about. In the end, Butters decides he'd rather embrace his emotions than hide behind black eyeliner and bad poetry. In his own words, he'd rather be a whiny pussy than lose himself. Segment 6, the ungroundable. Alright, let's jump into one of Butters' wildest rides, the ungroundable. So picture this. Butters storms into computer class, freaking out about vampires infesting the school, but guess what? The other kids are too busy playing Call of Duty to even look up. Cartman, being Cartman, tells Butters to go document the vampire's movements, basically sending him on a wild goose chase. So off he goes, spying on the so-called South Park Vampire Society. These kids are chugging Clamato juice and rocking plastic fangs, thinking they're the real deal, and Butters being Butters believes it 100%. He tries to repel them with a crucifix. Yes, really. And bolts when his cover is blown. Meanwhile, the goth kids are like, hold up, who are these posers? They confront the vamps, leading to the ultimate showdown of who's the darkest and edgiest. Fed up with not being heard and constantly getting grounded, Butters decides to join the vampires. Cue the Hot Topic makeover. Black clothes, dyed hair, the whole shebang. He declares himself ungroundable, and his parents are absolutely baffled. Imagine your kid hissing at you and claiming he's above house rules. But it gets better. Butters sneaks into Cartman's room at night, attempting to feed on him, but can't go through with it. Cartman's mom walks in and the whole thing just spirals into awkwardness. Realizing the vampire craze is out of control, the goth kids team up with Butters to burn down the Hot Topic store. Cause why not solve problems with a little arson? In the end, Butters returns to his normal self just in time to get grounded for misplacing pantry items. His parents are weirdly relieved they can ground him again. And the goth kids, they hold an assembly to reclaim their identity, flipping everyone off in true rebellious fashion. The crowd goes wild, ironically missing the point entirely. Segment 5, Marjorine. Cartman hatches another wild scheme, and who gets roped in? Our boy Butters, of course. The boys are convinced the girls have a futuristic fortune-telling gadget. Yeah, it's just a cootie catcher, but try telling them that. So, what's the plan? Butters goes undercover as a girl named Marjorine. They fake his death by tossing a pig carcass off a building, because that's totally normal. Butters crashes Heidi's sleepover in a wig and dress. He's freaking out over light as a feather, stiff as a board, and the girls are roasting him, but then, plot twist, He starts crying. The girls begin to feel bad and they end up giving him a makeover. The next thing you know, Butters is busting moves to Justin Timberlake, forgetting all about the mission. The whole time, Butters' parents are losing it. Mom's a wreck and Dad's taking advice from a creepy farmer straight out of a horror movie. He buries a pig thinking it'll bring Butters back. So when Butters shows up at home, they think he's a zombie. They lock him in the basement and toss in a dead sales lady for dinner. But Butters just wants some SpaghettiOs, man. Now back to the boys, they realize the future telling device is too dangerous, so naturally, they have Kenny blow it up. Huge explosion, 0 questions asked. Segment 4. Freak strike. Alright, buckle up. Our lovable, ever gullible Butters is about to embark on the most outrageous adventure yet. The boys are watching the Maury Povich show, and some girl with no midsection just scored a CD gift certificate. Cha-ching, cue Cartman's genius idea, get on the show, pose as a freak, and snag some freebies. And who gets volunteered for the master plan? You guessed it, Butters. Butters is reluctant at first, but peer pressure's a beast, and soon he's rocking a pair of fake chin balls, crafted by none other than the local Star Trek nerds, cause apparently they moonlight in prosthetics. On stage, Maury introduces him, and Butters almost blows it by ranting about being mistaken for Kenny. Maury's like, let's talk about those chin balls. Butters recovers like a champ, tugs at America's heartstrings, and bam.
Because you are such a brave little chin-balled man, we're gonna send you directly from this studio to the world's largest putt-putt golf course in the world.
Really?
Scores a trip to the world's largest miniature golf course. Victory. Meanwhile, back in South Park, Cartman's fuming. Butters stole our prize. So what's his plan? Dress up as an out-of-control teenage girl and outshine the competition on Maury's next episode. The lipstick, attitude, and enough sass to power a reality TV show.
Whatever, I do what I want.
Segment 3, Sarcastable. So Randy Marsh goes on a sarcastic tirade at a PTA meeting, suggesting a ridiculously safe version of football. Bras, tinfoil hats, a balloon instead of a ball, and hugging instead of tackling. He dubs it Sarcastable. And guess what? Everyone thinks he's a genius. The whole country gets swept up in this new sport, and Randy becomes the unexpected coach of the Denver Broncos. Enter Butters, the pure-hearted kid we all love. He steps up as South Park's elementary Sarcastable coach. Determined to help his team, Butters believes he's discovered a special energy elixir that boosts morale and performance. Completely unaware of its true nature, he starts sharing it with his teammates. Cartman chugs it down, convinced he's found the secret to athletic greatness. Meanwhile, Randy's nonstop sarcasm starts raising eyebrows at home. Sharon suspects something's off, leading to some hilariously awkward doctor visits where sarcasm flies over everyone's head. The doctor suggests his sarcasm might be affecting his brain, and they cook up a scheme to divert funds from serious diseases to study his condition. Back on the field, Butters' innocent attempt to help only lands him in hot water with his parents. They're freaking out over his energy elixir, but he's completely clueless about why everyone's so upset. Grounded and confused, Butters seeks fatherly advice for some, personal developments. In classic South Park fashion, his dad gives him the most bewildering explanation ever, talking about a friendly compass pointing to Jesus. Butters, ever the innocent soul, takes it all in stride, thanking his dad for the heartfelt but utterly unhelpful advice. Segment 2, the death of Eric Cartman. Let's dive into one of Butters' most insane days ever. So Cartman goes full savage and eats all the crispy skin off the KFC, like literally the best part. The boys are beyond furious and decide to give him the ultimate cold shoulder. But guess who's totally out of the loop? Butters. He strolls up like, "Hey Eric," and Cartman's like, "Wait, you can see me?" Cartman thinks he's a ghost and Butters must be a psychic medium. Yeah, it's that wild. Now, Cartman's dragging Butters all over town to help him move on. They're handing out apology gift baskets to everyone Cartman's ever wronged, which is basically the whole town. But when that doesn't work, Cartman flips and wrecks Butters' room. And who gets blamed? Butters, of course. Next thing he knows, he's shipped off to some mental evaluation. But does that stop him? Nope. Cartman busts him out and they team up to stop a hostage situation because why not? Cartman's antics confuse the bad guys long enough for the cops to swoop in and save the day. The gang finally decides to stop ignoring Cartman, but when he realized they were just messing with him, he loses it again, and poor Butters, he gets the short end of the stick as always. Segment 1, Butters' very own episode. Let's dive into the wild roller coaster that is Butters' very own episode. So our boy Butters is over the moon because his parents' anniversary dinner at Bennigan's is coming up, his favorite spot. But hold up, his mom throws him a curveball. "Butters, honey, why don't you follow your dad and see what he's getting me for our anniversary?" Butters, being the ever dutiful son, tells his dad, but instead of jewelry stores, Dad's hitting up places like Stud Cat Theater and a spot called the White Swallow. Butters thinks Dad's just catching a sad movie, so many tissues, and doing some intense wrestling at a bathhouse. He snaps some photos to show Mom, thinking he's nailed it, but when he spills the beans, Mom's face goes from 0 to what the heck. She spirals into a frenzy, layering coat after coat on the wall like it's going out of style. Next thing you know, Mom decides to take Butters on a little drive. Sounds fun until she steps out of the car and lets it roll into the river with Butters still inside. But our clueless champ thinks it's just a minor hiccup. He escapes, brushes it off, and is laser focused on making it to Bennigan's. Meanwhile, his parents are in full-blown panic mode, fabricating a wild story about Butters being kidnapped by some Puerto Rican guy. They even join a support group with some, let's say, infamous members. Butters strolls back home like it's any other day, only to find his parents mid-argument about their tangled web of lies. They try to loop him in on another fib, but Butters has hit his limit. He calls them out, dropping truth bombs left and right. Finally, Mom and Dad come clean, airing all their dirty laundry in front of the whole town. Butters, now fully grasping the chaos, is understandably shook. His buddies check in on him, and he musters a smile saying, "I'm gonna be okay," but then, in true Butters fashion, he admits, "No, I'm lying." And there you have it. From naive spy missions to accidentally near-death experiences, Butters navigates it all with signature innocence. It's a whirlwind of emotions, but hey, that's why this episode is pure gold. Well folks, that's Butters in all his chaotic glory. Whether he's leading a revolution or making the world's worst sports drink, Butters always leaves us laughing and maybe a little concerned for his well-being. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe, or Professor Chaos might just leave your garden hose running. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.